So this is the gooseneck, and it's actually made for a GoPro camera. However, this Pentax, while it's larger and heavier, the gooseneck is handling the weight and size just fine. So the top of the gooseneck is actually flat, and what I did was I took some foam that a computer component came in, and I just used a serrate edged knife and reshaped the foam, and where needed I applied Gorilla Tape. I also applied Gorilla Tape to create a sleeve, and then I used the sleeve and slid it across the first two adjustable connection balls of the gooseneck, and that's just a bungee cord holding that in place, and that's nice and secure. I also needed a clamp, so I went to the hardware store and bought a clamp for $4. I put some double stick tape on the bottom of the gooseneck, which is also flat, and that attached to the rubberized handle of the clamp. And then I tied some Canoe, battery died, so here we go again. So that's man-made Canoe that I tied around the gooseneck, and then tied that to the handle, and then just duct taped the whole thing. Super secure, and it holds the weight of the Pentax camera, which is what I needed it to do. The Pentax camera is mounted to a gooseneck. It's actually a GoPro gooseneck. It's got 21 adjustment points on it. So they sell them with a 9-point and a 21-point. I chose the 21-point to give me a little bit more variability. I did need to attach a clamp to the bottom of it. That was $4 from the hardware store. And for the Pentax camera, I modified a camera mount, which is actually just made out of foam and Gorilla Tape, and then held on to the gooseneck with a strap. So this is the first test of it. It's attached to the bow of the Canoe, and I want to see what the range or scope of the camera is. So I'm going upriver right now. I'm going to go ahead and turn. And so this is a typical morning in August in Kentucky. Your camera's pointed to Indiana right now. Beautiful morning out. 68 degrees, high humidity, hence there's a fog. Pretty typical for an August morning. That is the Kentucky shoreline. I modified this paddle to make it longer, because using a standard kayak paddle in a canoe draws water into the canoe at a pretty incredible rate. So I wanted to keep the water out. So the extension actually goes from right here and normally the paddle would seat here. So that's 21 inches that I added. So the paddle is now slightly more than 9 feet long. I think it's about 9'3". The wood does add some weight. I took a branch from an Osage tree. I had actually the branch in the garage for about 2 years, so it's plenty dry. And I just shaved down the end to right about here so that it would fit in the tube. And I did the same thing down to here. So there's about 7.5 inches buried in the shaft. Creates real good stability for the paddle. And then of course the center is the visible extension. It took about 2.5 hours to carve it out. Certainly wasn't in any hurry. I did that a couple of days ago when it was 89 degrees and matching humidity. Physically it was pretty challenging, but it worked out fine. And most of the water stays out of the boat. So, worked out great. I'm about 2 miles downriver and wanted to test the clamping camera on the stern of the boat. So you might be able to tell that it's hanging out, about 8 inches. Still foggy, which is nice because it's keeping the glare of the sun down. River's very calm. There's maybe a 1 or 2 mile per hour wind right now. Fog is just starting to lift. I'm going to go ahead and make my way across the Ohio River. I do not see any barges left or right.